Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for this edition of Conversations with Camden, which is basically a virtual open house. And tonight's open house, we're going to be discussing a transfer in for second semester, but also all things Camden military, from academics to athletics to free time to weekends to COVID. So we'll be talking about a variety of topics. Tonight, we've got some young men, current cadets, who are joining us, and we'll meet them in just a moment. And then we also have Colonel John Heflin, who is the Dean of Students, that will be here to answer any questions regarding academics and when's the best time to transfer and those type things. Um, However, before we meet these guys, I want you to know that this is to be an interactive event, so don't get too comfortable just sitting there watching. Please participate. You can actually post your questions right into the YouTube chat. You can also use any social media and use that hashtag right there, CMA Open House. So you simply just type your question, end it with the hashtag CMA Open House, and we have people there to gather those questions, and so we can present them to these young men. All right. So having said that, we'll get started. Introduce myself to start with. I'm Colonel Casey Robinson. I'm Dean of Enrollment and Administration here at Camden Military, and I've been here for 23 years. And believe it or not, I'm actually originally from Camden, South Carolina, so I am back home. All right, and Lon, we'll start with you.
My name is Lon Callis. I'm from Weddington, North Carolina, and this is my third year attending Camden Military Academy.
All right, and then Devin.
My name is Devin Watley. I'm from Santa Fe, Texas. This is my third year at Camden Military Academy, and I'm in 11th grade.
All right, and then Snell.
Hello, my name is Christian Snell. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm in 8th grade, and this is my first year here at CMA.
Okay, and then Colonel Heflin.
I'm Colonel Heflin. I'm the Dean of Students. This is starting my 22nd and a half year at Camden Military Academy.
Yeah. So John and I actually knew each other. So excuse me, Colonel Heflin and I actually knew each other at South Carolina, University of South Carolina, back in the day. So and I didn't realize that he worked here, and he didn't realize I was here, and we came back, and here we are again. So we've known each other for a while. Okay, so we're going to jump right in, talking to these young men about their Camden experience and what Camden has done for them, maybe why their parents initially thought about Camden. So we're going to start out kind of talking about their journey. Okay, this is not the Bachelor or Bachelorette though, but we are going to be talking about journeys. So we'll start out with Lon's journey. Lon, tell us, how did your family come across the idea of maybe sending you to Camden Military Academy?
So at the beginning of my freshman year, my parents noticed that I wasn't really excelling in my academics and that I wasn't focused on mainly school. I was focused on other things such as like hanging out with friends and just going out rather than focusing on my academics. And my parents thought like I needed a change of scenery. So they were looking out and they saw Camden. So at the end of my freshman year, that's when everything started, and we were considering Camden as a new option for school.
All right. And then Devin, same question. Why were your parents looking for a school for you?
So it's not that they were looking for it. I kind of made the decision. I went into a school that was like full of kids that didn't have a lot of discipline, and I made not the brightest decisions. My grades were pretty bad. My dad saw it, and I talked to my dad about it, and I asked him, is there any chance I can go to another school? And we talked about a military school, and I came up with the idea of this one, and that's how I ended up here. It's pretty nice, the fact that I can get away from the outside world and just come in, have discipline, and have my own responsibility as a cadet here at CMA.
All right, good job. And Snell, how about you? Why was your family, or maybe you, interested in Camden Military?
My parents were mostly interested for me to come here, like to get more discipline and like stay out of trouble that I was getting in at home. And probably like I was excited to come because I wanted to like change myself so I didn't get in as much trouble.
Gotcha. All right. Now, talk to me a little bit about academics. Christian, if you will, kind of tell us what were your grades like before Camden, and then what have your grades been like this year?
Um, when I was at my old school, my grades were A's and B's mostly, and learning was pretty hard, but I still pushed through it. But since I got here, like the classes are a lot smaller, and my grades have still been really good, A's and B's.
Good. And Devin, how about yourself? How were your grades before and now?
I passed by the skin of my teeth. If I'm being honest, I had to beg my teachers to let me go to the next grade. Um, my classes were just huge, and I had a lot of distractions. And the teachers just had so many, like the capacity of the class had so many kids in it, and then it didn't give them a lot of time to go individually with me. And I suffered from that dramatically with my grades. My grades were really low and just barely passing. I never failed, but I just had to like move past like barely.
And how are your grades been since you're here?
My grades have increased a lot. My GPA is a 4.1. I have mostly A's. I may get a B here and there on occasion, but my grades are mostly A's, and the classes have helped out tremendously with that, with being small, and the teachers allowing you to come in for tutorial and after school to help you out if you have any questions on anything.
All right. Good job. Okay, we have a couple questions coming in, so I want to get to these real quick. One on YouTube says, can care packages be received the first 2 weeks, and what can be in them? Okay, so basically, yes, you can receive care packages from the very first day. It can contain pretty much, any type of food. You have favorites, chips, Gatorades. That's always popular. Mom's brownies, grandma's cookies, whatever. Yes, but yes, you can send care packages. And then another question, do new cadets have to get their head shaved when they first come to school? So as you can see, these guys do not have their head shaved now. But Lon, can you tell them about maybe that first haircut they're going to get when they first get here?
So your first haircut, a lot of the cadets that are incoming and are not used to getting short hair are definitely like surprised. They come in, you don't necessarily get a full buzz cut, but usually you get it's like half an inch left on the side and about an inch or an inch and a half on the top. So it's really you don't get a buzz cut, but you do get it trimmed down as a military school should have.
Yeah. So again, like Lon said, it's not a buzz cut, but I always tell guys we take a lot, but not all. And the good thing is it grows back. As you can see, these guys all have hair now. So yeah, you can certainly bring your product if you're one of those guys that put product in your hair every day. All right, and then I want to jump back to academics for just a second and bring Colonel Heflin into the conversation. But Colonel Heflin, both of these guys said their grades, were really good here. What do you attribute that to? What does Camden do a little differently than maybe the traditional public school?
As Devin indicated, definitely the tutorials play a large role in that. I also think the smaller classes, the ability to have one-on-one, you're able to go to a teacher at the beginning of right before class and after class, and the small classes are definitely, and just teachers caring and going above and beyond as a tradition here at Camden.
Yeah. So one good thing I like about our school is that all the teachers have to either coach a sport or sponsor a club. So it really kind of gives the students, the cadets, an opportunity to get to know the teachers outside of the classroom. So it's not just a boring history teacher up at the front. The history teacher may also be the basketball coach or the baseball coach or something. And I think that makes a difference. Lon, can you talk about that a little bit? What's the teacher-student relationships like here at Camden? Are they the same as they were at your old school, or are they a little different?
So the teacher to like student relationship, you definitely have a lot stronger relationship with your teachers here at Camden versus my old public high school. That's mainly due to the fact of that the small classes, especially, and I wasn't able to get like good one-on-one interaction at my old high school, and then now here at Camden, it's a lot easier to interact with the teachers just because of the small classes.
Yeah. And I also think another big benefit is the mandatory study hall, because I talk to a lot of parents whose sons are, very bright. They do well on standardized testing or end of grade testing, but, just that everyday battle about homework, or, maybe the homework gets done, but it doesn't get turned in. Um, I guess Christian and Devin, kind of raise your hand if you guys had any issues with homework before you got to Camden. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, so both of them. So Devin, we'll start with you. Tell our viewers tonight about the study hall. What's the study hall like at Camden? What does that consist of?
So study hall goes about for an hour and a half. It starts at 7:30 and ends around 9 o'clock. Study hall goes from 4 days a week when we have no Saturday classes, and it has 5 days a week. It happens 5 days a week when we have a Saturday class. Study hall gives you the time to prepare for the next day, to study for any tests or exams that you have or are required to take the next day, or to do your homework, so that way you don't get in trouble by your teacher and get written up. We do have, I like it because it puts responsibility on yourself to do your own homework. Yes, you do get held to a certain standard to do your homework, and the teachers expect you to do it, but it shows who's responsible and who cares, and it really plays a big role whenever you do it yourself and actually try whenever you do your homework. Because back in public school, I did not try. I just didn't do it. I just went to school, and it did not work out at all for me.
Yeah. Colonel Heflin, kind of tell our viewers, what's the teacher's responsibilities during study hall?
The teacher's responsibilities during study hall are to make sure that each cadet has the assignment that was given in class. If the student was not in class and was not able to write down the assignment, the teacher has an AOC book, which all the teachers have turned in their homework assignments prior. So they're able to go and give those guys those assignments. And to also to monitor the work, to make sure that guys are studying, doing their homework, and doing what they're supposed to do, and also providing assistance to those guys if they need assistance in a particular subject area, and to monitor to make sure that all of that takes place.
Good. Thank you for that. All right, so I'll take a brief moment here. We've got a ton of questions coming in, which I really enjoy. So thank you guys, and just want to remind you again, if you have a question, please post it. It can be posted right here in the YouTube chat, also on any of the social media. Just use the hashtag CMA Open House, and we'll get to your questions tonight. Again, that's hashtag right there, CMA Open House. Any social media platform will work, or you can post it right here on YouTube. A little bit, Camden does offer other opportunities for you to find out about CMA besides watching the YouTube live. I think this is a great tool, great resource for parents and prospective cadets. But we also have a virtual tour on our website where you can actually tour the campus, see inside the buildings, spin around in the barrack room, see what it actually entails. And we'll also be having a on-campus open house on Saturday, December 4th. I'm sure none of these guys are counting, but our winter break actually begins the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So does anyone know how many wake-ups we have left?
I think it's seven, about
Okay.
7
Yeah.
wake-ups.
7 days.
Yeah,
Yes, sir,
I'm
7.
impressed. I know usually most of them have it at the end of their tongue, tip of their tongue, ready to say it. But so we'll be going home that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and our students will not return until January 2nd. So I know they're excited. Trust me, we're excited as well. I like to tell these guys we enjoy the breaks just as much as they do. So, all right. But so joining us on Open House on Saturday, December 4th, it starts at 9 a.m. We do ask you to be on time for that because it's not an all-day event. Typically lasts about 3 to 3.5 hours, and then we're out of here. But during that time, you'll be able to see the campus. We will have a few cadets here on campus that have come back to join just to kind of meet parents and talk to prospective students. And then you'll also have an opportunity to speak with admissions staff following that. All right, now to some online questions that we've received. Are academic assignments done on computers or paper? And Colonel Heflin, I'll let you answer that one.
It's a combination of both. There are some assignments that would be done on a computer, such as right now, tomorrow our College English 101 class is taught through the University of South Carolina with our dual enrollment classes. Their papers are due tomorrow, so it is done on a Google Docs. Some teachers may require things to be done on a computer, but we're a very traditional school where we want our guys to learn to read and write and to use those skills. So it's a combination of both, but it depends on the age. The more older kids, which are taking the college classes, are doing that type of work.
Yeah, I like that. And we are a very traditional setting, and lots of schools now have gone to having books on tablets or electronic books, and a lot of guys aren't even actually looking at their books. They're using those tablets to look at everything else. So we like the idea of having good old-fashioned textbooks and highlighting and all of that. So yes. All right, another question coming in from YouTube. Will field trips happen next semester, and will mask be enforced? Okay, so let me talk about COVID since this question has come up. So Camden has been very fortunate. Since the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020, we maintained face-to-face instruction here at CMA. So also since that time, we've not had any positive COVID cases here on campus. Yeah, knock on wood. Been very fortunate. And we're looking forward to this break so we can keep that record intact. The way we've done that is to close the campus. So basically, we didn't have any visitors. Parents were not allowed to visit their student. Guys could not leave to go home on furloughs, things like that. We finally did allow students to have one furlough this semester. They had a long weekend, and it all worked out well. Everyone was tested for an instant, or given an instant rapid COVID test when they returned. And again, we were able to maintain our perfect record as far as COVID. For second semester, the plan right now, talked with the headmaster this morning, is to wear masks for the first 3 weeks, begin from January 4th. So by the end of January, we should have mask off. Now, that's granted how COVID numbers are going at the time. I know parents that live locally in the Carolinas or the Southeast, our numbers are fairly low right now. But we have students from Colorado, we have students from Nevada, we have students from other states where COVID numbers are just peaking for the first time. They're in the worst shape they've been in. So we have to take that into account when making COVID decisions. So it's not just about our local area. We have to be cautious of, where these guys might be going or what family may be coming in that may have, bring a bug or a germ in as well. So we're hoping for a good second semester. I don't think all the field trips will take place. I do think some of the field trips will take place. At this moment, though, I don't know which ones. So the only break that we're guaranteeing for all students is the spring break. So we have a week, I think it's at the end of March, that everyone gets. And then we graduate the third Sunday in May. But we are certainly hoping to offer additional furloughs. And trust me, we're all sick of COVID. And we're all sick of wearing the mask because we all wear masks right now indoors. And we're ready to take those things off. All right, so now back to some fun questions. This is always a popular question. How's the food? Okay, let's go with Lon on this one. Lon, tell me a little bit about the food.
The food is usually what you would regularly get at your regular family style, I guess. We have a wide variety. For breakfast, we get like biscuits. What else do we get? Like lots of eggs, cereal. Lunches usually has like pasta, like mac and cheese is very good. We have fried fish. It's pretty good, but you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, it's not a gourmet dining experience, but we do have some good food. And you also have the Carlisle House in the afternoon. So Devin, tell me a little bit about what the Carlisle House and what kind of food is offered in there.
The Carlisle House has an arrangement of like what you would call snacks or junk food. That's where everyone goes after school during free time to get like chips or some M&Ms or something like that. They have like slices of pizza, ice cream, soda. They have an arrangement of everything pretty much. It's nice to have that, and then you can say like you have popcorn in your room, like if your parents send you any popcorn or any noodles or anything, they can cook it in there for you. You just throw it in the microwave and they'll give it to you whenever it's done, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So we introduced microwaves. It used to be they had to bug the ladies that worked in there to pop the popcorn and heat up everything, but now we've had microwaves out for the students. And then also on Tuesday, today was a pretty popular day at the Carlisle House, and because we brought in Chick-fil-A. So now every Tuesday we have Chick-fil-A Tuesdays, which is very popular with the guys. I think starting second semester, we're going to introduce maybe another restaurant to have another day where outside food is brought in. And then we're also going to have hot dogs that will be served in there. That's something that we haven't had in a while. But yeah, ice cream, pizza, anything that's not good for you, pretty much can be bought over there. Having said that, though, we do have fruit that can be purchased in there. There are some healthy alternatives if you're, trying to stay healthy. But these are teenage guys, so we try to put in there what they like. All right, a very good question. Was it hard to leave family and friends to go to Camden? All right, so I want to get a younger boy's, version of this, and then an older guy. So, Snell, was it hard for you to leave your friends behind and come off to Camden?
So it honestly was hard to like leave all my friends and stuff, but at the same time, like I'm making new friends here, and like I really like them. But yes, sir, it was really hard to leave all my friends and family at home.
And Devin, how about you? Was it hard?
Yes, sir, it was. But I was able to cope with that by getting out of the barracks and not just staying in the barracks because I didn't expect people to come to me and be friends with me. I had to get out and go like play a sport or do something interactive with other people so I can have fun and take my mind off the fact that I wasn't home. But yes, I did get very homesick. My first year, last year I got homesick. This year I got a little homesick, but now it's been 3 years. I'm kind of used to how it feels. So it's just like, I've grown into it and I have people I know here and I have a lot of friends. So it's nice to have friends and people to talk to whenever you're away from home, which helps out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really good for these guys. I think most guys do experience some type of homesickness. I often refer to it as a culture shock because they're used to coming from their plush bedrooms and internet 24/7, probably a car in the driveway and all that, and then of course the girl that they're in love with. So it is quite a sacrifice initially, but I think once they get around other guys who are all striving to do the right thing, make the right choices, and they're pretty much here all for the same reason. It's easy to make friends, and we'll talk more about the brotherhood and all that these guys have developed with other students in just a bit. But we have questions like pouring in, so I want to get to some more. Can you talk some more about earning college credits? So, Colonel Heflin, we're going to throw the college credit question over to you. How does that work?
In order to take college level classes, they're again called dual enrollment classes, and it's 3-hour college credit with the exception of one of those classes, which is a 4-hour college credit, and it's the biology class because it has a lab with it. You must have a 3.0. Some sophomores are taking those classes, but mostly it's for juniors and seniors. And if you complete all of those classes, you will have about 54 college credit hours, again through University of South Carolina. They will transfer to any school in the country, so you don't have to go to University of South Carolina, although that would be a great thing, in order to continue those classes. We've recently had 2 guys who was able to do college in 2 years because of taking those dual enrollment classes. For example, instead of taking English 4, you take English 101, which is the grammar side of the house, and in the spring you take English 102, which is the literature portion of that. So it kind of supplements. One last example is instead of taking traditional U.S. history in the 11th grade, you take History 111, which is the beginning of U.S. history to 1865, and 112, History 112, which is 1865 to the present. It is an additional $400 per class in order to take those classes, but if you do the math, what it will save you on the end of college, it's great. Lon's taking those classes. I think Devin's taking those classes as well. Christian's too young to take those, but we hope to get him enrolled in that, and so which is going to give them a step above other guys by taking those classes.
And it'll certainly look good on a college or a high school transcript when colleges are looking to, accept you and bring you in as well.
Right.
All right, we have a question about some athletics. What sports are offered at CMA? And oh goodness, here comes a good question for Lon Callis. Do lacrosse players need to bring their own equipment? So, okay, let's throw the lacrosse question to Lon, and then Devin, you be thinking about all the different sports, and let's see if we can name them all in just a moment, okay? All right, Lon, go ahead.
So, no, sir. We do not. We have all of our own gear for lacrosse. So, if you're brand new starting out, we have helmets, sticks, chest plates, shoulder pads. The only thing you'll probably have to buy on your own is your own pair of cleats. But no, we don't. You could bring your own gear, or we have our gear for you.
But a lot of guys do bring their own. I know, if you have your favorite stick that you've scored 300 goals with, make sure you bring it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Devin, let's go with you. What kind of sports does CMA have? How many can you name?
We have baseball, basketball. I guess blackjacks is considered a sport. We have cross country, track and field, football, golf, tennis, and wrestling. That's about all the sports. That's about 9 sports.
Yeah. Did you say football? I don't know if you said football
Yes,
in there,
sir.
but yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we have 13 total. So we left some out. Oh, cross country, track. I don't know if we said
Yes, sir.
those.
Tennis,
but we
golf.
can, name some. Tennis, golf, yeah. And then we also have intramurals. So intramural sports would be where these guys are actually involved in competition among themselves. So we don't actually go out and compete against other schools. But we are, we're not in a conference currently. There's some talks about us joining a conference. I think the SEC wants to invite us in, right? But no, kidding. But there's some talk about us joining a conference, and hopefully I'm kind of in favor of that. We'll see where that goes. But in the meantime, we'll remain independent and play other private and public schools. So, all right. Good question coming in from YouTube. What's the military aspect of CMA like? So, Devin, let's go with you. You raised your hand, so let's throw it to you.
Yes, sir.
What's the military like?
So cadets are required to have their rooms clean for inspection by a certain time in the morning. Cadets are also required to have a clean uniform at all points of the day. If they have any type of stain or anything on their shirt, they're required to change it. Their uniform must look sharp and to a certain standard. Cadets also have us cadets have strict classroom policies, ensuring that there is no misbehavior nor any infractions that can cause a distraction to other cadets in their education. Cadets are also responsible to do what they need to do, or there will be consequences. And we have marching, we have every type of drill and ceremony, parades. We do drill with weapons. We have all sorts of things that involve the military aspect. We have ranks, like for instance, you can see I have Sergeant First Class. It just goes into effect. It takes a lot to be a leader here at school because we do end up dealing with some cadets that aren't the best, but we push through it. I deal with 24 cadets every day in my platoon, and can be a little stressful sometimes, but it gets done. I get the job done.
Yeah, that's awesome description. I mean, that nailed it. So as he alluded to, with his rank, he gains additional responsibilities, and so he is responsible for those 24 students, and that's a pretty big task when you have one teenager leading 24, and make sure they're all staying on top of things. Now, Snell, I want to talk to you for a second because I know military. A lot of guys are really nervous about the military, and I don't know if you were or not. I'm assuming that you probably were a little anxious about the military side. Was it as bad as you thought? How did the military part strike you when you first arrived?
It was, I didn't really expect, I knew, about the uniforms, but I never, thought about all, the formations and all, the marching that we would do. And, but everything else was, sounded pretty familiar with me.
Yeah. Lon, how would you describe the military part of the school?
So it's a very structured environment. One of the things that I learned very quickly is that one man affects everyone else. So if one person in the platoon messes up, then usually the whole platoon gets in trouble for it. And I feel like with implementing the brotherhood, everyone has responsibility for themselves, and everyone has a job that they need to do. And if they can't have that job or they can't get it done, then it affects everyone else. So, yeah.
Okay, good job. All right, Colonel Heflin, we got another question you can answer here. It says, what can students do to boost their GPA while at CMA?
You could attend our summer school program. That's one option. You can also, if you, for example, made a D in a class or anything I should say above, if as long as you did not fail that class, you could retake that class to boost your GPA. And once you get above a 3.0 or a 3.0, you can start to take those dual enrollment classes, which will definitely boost your GPA tremendously.
Yeah. And so, and a lot of times I think too, just with the tutorials and the study hall that we have here, you know, I think the guys are pretty amazed at how easy school becomes when they do start doing what's actually required, you know. So again, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of guys are very smart. They have 100 on tests, but they have a 20 on homework, and you average those two together, and that can really hurt you in a public school setting. So, you know, here with the mandatory study hall, you don't have that bad homework grade to really pull you down, which I think is a big help.
Well,
Question coming in.
can I add to that? Can I add to that?
Sure.
In my 8th grade class, which Christian is a part of, we had some challenges from some of the college dual enrollment guys, and they were studying Andrew Jackson. And so for the past 3 weeks, we've been drilling Andrew Jackson and the Battle of New Orleans, the War of 1812. And so 3 of my guys in that class issued a challenge to some of the college classes guys, and they were successful today. But it goes above and beyond. You know, it doesn't matter that you're an 8th grader competing against a junior or a senior. It's about work ethic. And I salute those guys because they were about that challenge. And so, as Casey alluded to with the tutorials and the Learning Center, or just coming in after school, saying, hey, what do we need to do to be different in those areas? And those guys accepted that challenge. So, you know, kudos to those guys as well.
Yeah, true. All right, I have another question coming in. It says, can lottery money be used for dual credit courses like in the public schools? John, I'm not sure about that. I know the South Carolina residents are a little bit, but anyway, go ahead. You can answer that.
The answer is yes to that. It doesn't pay, I think, for 100%, but there is lottery funds that can be used as long as you're a South Carolina resident. So, for example, if there's a lottery in a different state, you can't use that money for here. But if you're a South Carolina resident, you may use that lottery money for those classes.
Yeah. So in other words, if you're from Georgia, you're watching us from Tennessee, Vermont, no, you can't. But if you're a South Carolina resident, there's a little bit more flexibility there. All right. Another question coming in. What are some of the clubs and extracurricular activities available at Camden? Gosh, we have a ton. Guys, let's start with Lon. What's some extracurricular activities or clubs you're involved in?
So some extracurricular activities I'm in is a STEM club. That's one of them. It's like a math and science club. Usually so our last meeting, we got to build these catapults out of popsicles and rubber bands, and we would see who could shoot like the farthest, the candy corn the farthest. But other clubs like that are very popular, like Civil Air Patrol, Debate Club, I know is very popular. I mean, those are like the main popular ones, but yes, sir.
Yeah, we have Boy Scouts. We have, goodness. Yeah, okay, everybody's raising their hand. Devin, go ahead.
Our extracurricular activities allows us to also get leadership too. Like we have leadership education training referred to as leg class. That's a extracurricular kind of thing. It helps improve and teach the basics of being a leader. Also, cadets are able to mentor other cadets. We have sports considered extracurricular activities as well, and just extra clubs like to join. We've spoken about, or I've spoken with one of the Spanish teachers about starting up a Spanish club for extracurricular activity, because as myself, I went as a kind of overseas to study Spanish, so I want to keep that going here at school. So we've talked about starting up an extracurricular activity like that, but other than that, that's all I had to add.
Yeah. And Snell, how about you?
Um, I was gonna say Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts is a really fun club, and like Callis said, STEM club is super fun.
How about the Blue Man Crew? No one talked about that, and we had a
Oh,
good time with that. So somebody, Lon, tell them about the Blue Man Crew.
Yes, sir. The Blue Man Crew, that was at our last football game that we had. It was against Hickory High School. Me, Watley, and Snell and Larkin, another kid in Delta Company, we all got dressed up. Well, not dressed up, we dressed down and got painted up with blue paint saying CMA. And it was really fun because we got to cheer on our football team, just being different out of uniform, kind of hyping up the crowd. So it was very
Yeah.
fun at that last football game.
So Devin may know what I'm talking about, being from Texas, but it's kind of our version of the what is it, Yale Crew at A&M. It's kind
Yes,
of
sir.
so it's the spirit leader here at CMA, and our battalion commander actually got into a full Spartan costume, which was pretty cool. So, but yeah, so we have some fun, lots of different things going on here. We also have a CMA Ambassador Club, which is one that I'm kind of in charge of, which is a group of guys similar to these guys who get together and help spread the good news about CMA. So they'll post some on social media, participate in things like this, conduct visits and tours when you guys come to visit. So they also learn some marketing things, which is pretty cool along the way as well. All right. Are there options for low-income families to assist with tuition? Yeah, we do have some in-house financial aid. If you're looking for second semester enrollment, though, we don't have any more financial aid for this school year. For students who start in August at the beginning of the school year, you can start applying for that financial aid after you've been accepted after January 1st of 2022. So you have to get accepted, interviewed, and accepted. Then we'll give you the necessary link that you would need to complete to apply for that aid. All right. And then question, what is your electronics policy? Can you have cell phones? That's always a popular one. Lon, let's go back to you for that.
So the cell phone use it's not too limited at Camden, but you definitely can't just, it's not allowed in the academic buildings. You could have your electronics, your Xbox, your PS4, you could have it in your room. But there's a certain time that you could be on those electronics. For example, free time. Those are the two. Free time on the weekends usually is where all the electronics are used. But yeah, sir.
All right. And then how about someone talk about the dress code during free time and the weekends? Devin, we'll let you take that one.
So the dress code depends on the time of the year. At the beginning, for the first 2 weeks, you're not allowed to leave the barracks in any type of civilian clothes known as like what you'd wear outside the school. You'd have to be in a PT uniform. That's either PT, most likely PT summers, because that's around August and it's super hot, and I wouldn't want to get in my PT winters. But after that 2 weeks of our certification, you can get dressed in civilian clothes. You are not allowed to have earbuds in your ears though while walking around campus, and your dress code you must have closed-toed shoes on while walking around campus. You can't have Crocs or slides or anything like that in that category. But you can, depends on where. Like if you're going to the pool, yes, you can wear Crocs. But if you're going inside the Carlisle House or like to the gym or anything like that, you can't wear anything like that. You must have socks and shoes on, and your shirt. Sometimes depends on, I guess, what day it is. Who feels like saying something, you must have your shirt tucked in as well, even if you're wearing civilian clothes.
Yeah. All right, good. Another question coming in. Did any of the current cadets on here transfer mid-year? I don't think so. I think all these guys start at the beginning of the year, right? Yeah. So all these guys
Yes,
start at
sir.
the beginning of the school year.
Started from the
Yeah.
beginning.
So next question is transferring in its semester. How difficult will it be to transfer using a block schedule versus a traditional semester schedule? I'm so glad Colonel Heflin's here to address this one. So Colonel Heflin, take off.
Each case will be a case-by-case basis. So if you have that question, I would really prefer to talk to you one-on-one about that after I've looked at your transcript. But if you're on a block schedule that ends in December, It's definitely better for you if you are not doing well to transfer prior to the beginning of our second semester. For example, if you're taking English on a block schedule, that class is over once you take the final exams in that class. We're on a traditional schedule here where we have 6 academic classes where we take English all year. So you would have an opportunity to improve your grade. And a higher grade is better than an F, because later you could go back and repeat that class, as I mentioned during our summer school program. But once the grade is final from that school, there's nothing that we can do other than retake that class. Again, it's a case-by-case basis, and I've looked at a lot of transcripts of guys that are coming in January, and I know a lot of you are coming to the open house, and I can speak to you then. But if you would like for me to speak with you one-on-one, you can definitely send me an email at academics with an S, academics at camdenmilitary.com, or send it to Casey at admissions at camdenmilitary.com, and I will be happy to discuss that one-on-one with you.
Yeah, so part of the admissions process, of course, you complete the application, which can be found at camdenmilitary.com, and then we'll ask you to send in some unofficial transcripts. Now, that can be from the school, or it can be just a snapshot from a parent portal or report cards, depending on what grade he's in. But basically, we need to see any high school credits that have been attempted. And then we pass those on to the academic department. They'll review them. We'll do the interview with the student, and then if all goes well, accept him. And then once he's accepted is when the dean will begin to review your schedule to see, what classes you would take here, when's the best time to transfer, what would be most advantageous to you academically. So that's why it's kind of a case-by-case basis, because it really depends a lot what school are you coming from, what state are you coming from, what's the schedule like there. So there's a lot of factors. So yes, please reach out to either one of us, and we'll certainly answer your questions on that. And John's email again is academics@camdenmilitary.com. If you don't have a pen handy, though, if you just go to camdenmilitary.com, all of our email addresses are listed there under the About column, or you can also just send an email from anywhere on there, and it comes to me first, so that I'll make sure that he gets it. All right, another question coming in: will there be an alumni weekend or open graduation this year? Alumni weekend, don't think so. I don't know of any plans for one due to COVID. I know our Excalibur Society gathering, which was scheduled for the end of February, it has been postponed again, so we're not having that. But I think that was going to probably go along with our alumni weekend, so not having that. As far as graduation goes, we are anticipating having a regular graduation service this May. Again, we're going to have to watch COVID. Case by case, changes every minute, it seems like, but as of now, yes, we'll have a normal graduation service the full weekend. All right, what's the emphasis on spiritual growth, and is there Bible study available for students? Let's go to Lon. I can't remember who I called on last, but we'll start with Lon on this one. Will you talk to him a little bit about the spiritual component of CMA?
So the spiritual component, we are very, I guess, Christian-based school. We have chapel every Sunday morning. Due to COVID, we have 2 sessions now. It starts at 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:30, and the second session is from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. And I guess CMA embeds the whole, like a whole person in it gets the religious factor in. Like, we have Bible studies every Sunday or every Monday in the Carlisle House with Chaplain Hunter, who is very good to talk to, especially if you're having one-on-one problems. But yes, we do have chapel every Sunday.
Yeah, so there is a spiritual component, like Lon alluded to. We practice the whole man concept. So we do think academics are important, but they're not the only thing. So, that's why we throw in the athletics, the spiritual component, and, try to make these men as well-rounded as possible, because we know they're going places when they leave us, and we hope to instill some good core values while they're with us. All right, guys, something we hadn't touched on yet much is parents. And, this is a time of year when I start getting a lot of phone calls that I particularly enjoy receiving, because guys will go home at Thanksgiving and maybe clean their room for the first time ever without being asked, or, something like that. And Lon, I actually think you have a funny story about that, right? With your mom and the vacuum. I think I've heard your mom tell this story before. But what was your
Yes, sir.
what's the change they've seen in you since you've been at CMA?
For me, I think the change that my parents have seen in me is just me growing as a person and growing up as a teenager, um, and taking on responsibility for my own. Like, before I came to Camden, I never had like a self pride. I wouldn't clean my room. I would wear sloppy clothes. I didn't really care how I dressed. But ever since then, my room, I always make my bed. I always vacuum my floor. Um, and it's the self pride that you just get here from Camden is it's very different than any other school.
Yeah. And Devin, what's the change maybe that your parents have noticed in you since you've been here?
My parents see that I'm more mature and more responsible now. I've become more independent, and the biggest thing is they realize that I appreciate the little things back at home that I don't get to get while I'm here. For instance, like fast food, like McDonald's, I appreciate a lot more than before I came here. That's just an example, but like I appreciate a lot more things now because I don't get to get it every day, and I took all those things for granted whenever I was back at home.
Yeah. All right. And Snell, I know you haven't had a long time to really spend at home with your parents. It being your first year, but when you went home for that furlough break, did your parents notice any changes? Did they compliment you on anything, or are they proud of you now?
Well, I didn't actually go on the furlough, but my parents came to a couple cross country meets, and I think they were pretty happy with me like coming here and like how I'm doing here and stuff.
Yeah. I think that it's always fun for me, again, like I said, at this time of the year when we get those phone calls and, the guys go home really for their first extended break and, they're just carrying themselves differently. They have a whole different attitude about keeping the room clean. One of my first years here, I remember I had a mom call, very hysterical. And she was like, "What have you done to my son? What's going on?" And which, of course, I panicked. But the thing was, he was upstairs cleaning his room. And she was like, he would never do that. He's fussing at me because the kitchen floor is too dirty, things like that. So there are some good things that you'll notice pretty quickly here at CMA. However, I do want to emphasize that we realize that most of these young men, this was not their idea. Most of the guys here at Camden did not wake up one morning and say, "Oh boy, I can't wait to go enroll in military school." It was somebody else's idea. And these guys, they all have to be willing to come. They have to agree to it. They have an interview where they would talk to myself or someone else, and they have to tell us that they're willing to give it a try. And so, Lon, what was it like when your parents first introduced the idea? I'm sure you're probably like most guys and weren't thrilled about it, but how did you kind of get used to the idea, and what kind of changed your mind to make you willing to come?
I knew I had to start fresh somewhere. That's how I saw it. I saw it as a restart coming from my old high school, that I'd be able to make new friends, um, get my GPA higher, participate in more sports. I saw it as a restart, and how I could just turn my life around by just going to a different school.
Yeah. All right, Devin, we're going to give you a shot at this one as well. So, when they brought it up to you, um, what was your reaction, and then how did you kind of warm up to the idea?
I agreed to it because the fact that I wanted to make my parents proud and show them that I can do whatever I push myself to do, and I wanted to become more mature. Like I was pretty immature back then. I wanted more structure and less distractions whenever it comes to school, because I wanted my grades to be good. And I mean, life starts whenever I hit, or life started already, and my grades will affect me for the rest of my life, depending on what college I get into. So I wanted to make sure my grades were really good. That's why I came here in ninth grade.
All right, great, great, great. All right, I have a question that says, what do interviews look like? Are there any expectations for prospective cadets? So basically, like I just mentioned, during the interview process, it is, an opportunity for me to talk with the student just to make sure that, he's willing to at least buy into it somewhat. He doesn't have to be 100% sold on the idea, but he does need to, as Lon said, maybe it's just a restart. Maybe that's all they need to do is hit a fresh start, clean slate. And then we have some students, like I interviewed one last week, and I've interviewed hundreds over the years, where, mom and dad have really cracked down on them. And so the boy is really frustrated, and he feels like he can't do anything right. And I actually joked with an interviewee last week and said, "Oh, well, some guys actually have their bedroom doors removed because mom and dad, they don't trust them in their rooms alone." And he took the camera and spun it around and showed me that his door had actually been removed. So, I said, "Hey, you may have more freedom at Camden Military than you do at home." So, we don't really care what or why they buy into it, as long as they buy into it somewhat. We don't want to take any young man and set him up for failure. And, if we feel like that's going to be the case, we don't take them. So, but then of course, also during the interview, we're asking questions about behavioral issues, if there were any, and, other questions with, law enforcement, mental health issues, things like that of course we need to know about. And, I would like to think that we can trust all of our parents 100% when they fill out the application, but I have been a little surprised, once I talked to the student and they disclosed some things to me that the parents didn't on the application, which of course creates another problem. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the application and the interview. Now, when is the on-campus open house? So again, that on-campus open house is Saturday, December 4th at 9 a.m. So make sure you put that on the calendar. Please be on time. We try to get out of here about 12:30. But that is an opportunity for an on-campus open house. We will also be traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina. We actually have more kids from the greater Charlotte area than anywhere else in the country. And so that's Lon Callis's territory, but we'll be up there on Thursday, December 9th. And I think Lon said that he may try to attend that to meet the students there. So again, that's at 7 p.m. and that's at the Embassy Suites there in Charlotte at the corner of Billy Graham and South Tryon. And then we will also be in New York, New York City, which is the weekend of the 10th to the 12th, I believe it is. And we're doing those by appointment only. So if you want to make an appointment and meet me up there in New York, please just send me an email or give me a phone call, and we'll be happy to meet with you up there so you can get some one-on-one time with me. All right. So now back to some other questions here. Good one. How do you combat bullying at Camden? So our headmaster, I'd like to throw this in. Our headmaster is considered to be a bullying expert. He actually travels the country and is invited to serve on many different committees and forums with other experts. Most recently, he served with Monica Lewinsky on one of her panels. So we take bullying seriously, and both here on campus and cyber bullying. But I'll let Lon, can you kind of address the bullying issue? Is bullying, do you think, is a problem here at CMA?
I don't. I don't think, I mean, obviously you're gonna find bullying everywhere, but here at Camden, it's a little bit different. How there's an older chain of command and how the older boys can just look out for the younger kids and how people just have each other's backs. So if there's any time a problem, especially with bullying or hazing, it usually gets fixed by itself pretty quickly because older boys or chain of command members will step in and they won't tolerate it.
Yeah, like Devin mentioned earlier, he's in charge of 24 guys. And so with those 24 guys, he's got to make sure that they're okay. Right, Devin?
Yes, sir. And it's not only that, like, I mean, we're here all the time and we built such a close relationship amongst each other, and that no one really seems to like, I mean, yeah, we're stuck in a school and testosterone's through the roof with our hormones because we're at that age, but someone's going to say something, but it normally just kind of like escalates really quickly and then it goes down like nothing happened. And like 5 minutes later, we'll be like best friends just again, or brothers, should I say. And it doesn't really get that far. And people will normally talk to you because they know how you work, because you're here like all the time, like 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. So they know how you work after probably 3 weeks, and it kind of goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, good question here coming in. Word for new incoming student. So I'm gonna give you all three a chance to answer this one, okay? And Snell, we'll start with you. What's something, if you could talk with someone else about your own age who's considering maybe coming to Camden, what's a piece of advice you would tell him?
Um, I would probably say like be yourself and like make good friends and like probably get involved with a sport, because like when you're doing a sport, me personally, I feel like it will help you get out of trouble more, because you're more like busy and like have your head on something else besides like getting involved with like getting in trouble or something. So I would probably say like definitely like playing a sport or something like that.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I always encourage students to get plugged in, whether through clubs, sports, some way, because that really helps over homesickness and keeps you out of trouble. Um, Devin, same question for you.
I recommend just don't be a barracks bum. Like I said, like how I did, I went out and made friends. Like it takes effort to make friends here because you're not gonna just expect someone to come up to you and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because all of us feel the same way. We all want to be home. We all want to do this. But if I mean, you go up to someone, you make the effort to do it, then they'll see like, "Oh, maybe this person's like not that bad, and I can be friends with him and be cool with him." And you end up being friends, and then next thing you know, it's like your best friend within like 2 weeks because you're here for so long. And I mean, all y'all do is just sit there and like hang out and talk about it and everything. And I mean, if you have a problem, you can talk to that person about it, or just pretty much just involve yourself. Like Snell said, just get involved with other people and do what you got to do, so that way you can make friends and not just be alone.
Good. Lon, how about you?
I'm gonna say exactly what they just said, Watley and Snell. Get involved. Don't sit in your room all day. If you do that, no one's gonna come up to you and you just be like, "Oh, he just wants to be in his room." Definitely try and get active in a club. Start a new sport, even if you never played before. And that's when, once you do that, that's when you'll start making friends and get a little friend group going. And then it's literally just get participating and meeting new people is probably my best advice.
Absolutely. All right. A question coming in: are students allowed to leave campus during the school year? Typically, the answer is yes. Right now, we're, of course, suffering through COVID, so the campus is closed. We are hoping to open it up during the second semester, but remains to be seen depending on COVID. So, but yes, during the school year, typically they are. All right. Now, guys, well, let me throw it to Colonel Heflin first. Colonel Heflin, anything else you would like to add? Anything that I left out, maybe especially considering a second semester transfer appearance?
I would say you just mentioned about our guys are able to leave campus. They can for sporting events. So we are locked down, and all of these guys are played sports, and so we're extra careful. I coach cross country, so I coach Christian and Lon in cross country, and when we pulled up, we had our masks on, and when we were stretching and doing all of that, we had our masks on, and right before we started, we had our masks on, and as we were getting ready to start, they lowered their masks, and then we ran, and when they were around everyone else, they had their mask on until we got back to a circle with ourselves, and they were able to, catch their breath and get water. But I guess my biggest piece of advice from an academic side is don't wait. The hole is going to get much larger. We have a guy who's coming back that was here a year ago, and his mom gave him a chance to go home to a public school, and he's not doing as great as he was. So you need to ask yourself, where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? And it's from an academic standpoint, don't make the hole too big, so you will have an opportunity to go forward in life and be successful. And we all care about each other, and as those three guys have indicated, getting involved in stuff and getting to know these other guys on campus, and that's what the brotherhood is about.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Now, guys, your last question, okay? And then we're going to go have our dinner because we didn't get a chance to eat yet. Snell, the holidays are coming. Thanksgiving break is just, a little over a week away. So what are you most looking forward to when you go home?
I'm most looking forward to like hanging out with friends, Thanksgiving. Um, Probably we have season tickets to the Carolina games, and we're going to the Carolina Clemson game after Thanksgiving. So yeah, mostly those things, and like hanging out with all my family and my friends and stuff like that.
All right. I'm very proud of you, Snell. You're up there from Greenville and you're a Carolina fan. That's awesome.
Yes,
I'll
my
invite you to
sister
my
goes there.
tailgate.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
awesome. Smart girl. All right. And then Devin, okay, again, you're going home. You've been here for, a few years, so you kind of know what to expect. But um, what would you say to your parents right now? This is your chance to kind of tell them whatever you want to tell them. Are you mad at them? Do you want to thank them? Whatever, for your third year here at Camden.
I've mentioned to my dad that I'm very appreciative of the opportunity it's given me. For the fact that the school is not that cheap, but it's the idea that I get to come to a military school because it gives me a wider background than most people in a public school. My background stands out a lot because of the military aspect of it, and it creates responsibility with it. And I take JROTC classes and all that, and just I have a resume already set out, and my resume is pretty big, even though I have no work experience on it, but it's still big, and it shows that I take leadership values and I take responsibility for what I do. And that's what I really appreciate the most, that my parents have given me the opportunity to come here and show everyone that doubted me back in public school, show them that I can do what I was always able to do. It just never pushed myself.
All right, good question. And Snell, I wanted to ask this question too. What food? Tell your mom right now. What food do you want on the table when you get home for Thanksgiving?
Mexican food. Mexican food,
Mexican food.
definitely.
A Mexican Thanksgiving at the Snells. All right, Devin, you too. What's one food you want mom to have on the table for you when you get home?
A steak. I want steak so bad. That or
All
ribs.
right, that's the Texas boy in him. All right, and then Lon, I'm going to ask you the same question we did. You've been home several times, but talking to your parents right now, what would you say to them? Are you mad at them? Do you thank them? What do you want to say to mom and dad?
I'm definitely not mad at my parents. I am a very appreciative of the opportunity of me coming to Camden and how I've shown you that I've grown up. I can handle responsibilities on my own. Um, I've learned leadership skills, excelled in academics, sports, and I definitely want to thank both of you for giving me this opportunity to come to Camden. And I know it's not an opportunity that many other kids get, and I'm very grateful for it.
All right, very good, very good. Oh, Lon, what food are you looking forward to? What do you want first on the table when you get home?
I'm ready for some homemade hamburgers, sir. I'm very excited to learn how to grill on my own. Yes, me and my mom had this conversation. I'm gonna learn how to grill some of my own good hamburgers, sir.
Oh,
Tell her
okay.
why.
All right.
Talking about.
Ask him why. Ask him why, Casey.
For cross
Hey,
country,
Casey.
and I was put on chef duty, so I had to figure out how to grill 40 hamburgers in the span of
Yeah.
10 seconds. Not really, but my mind was going crazy about how many hamburgers had to be flipped. So I got
That's
to work
pretty
on my
cool.
grilling skills.
Go ahead, Snell.
I was just gonna say those hamburgers were pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
You already got a fan. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for joining us tonight. This conversation with Camden. I hope we answered some questions for you. If you still have questions that are out there, like I said, please go to camdenmilitary.com. You can take the virtual tour. You can see all of our open house dates, where we'll be, the Charlotte, New York event details, the on-campus details. If you haven't already applied for second semester, I really encourage you to do so quickly. We are quickly approaching capacity. We have lots and lots of interest coming in for second semester. And I think that will do it for tonight. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of Conversations with Camden. Good night.